I'll move this over here. We can look at it. We can talk about it. So this is, thank you so much. Chris, welcome, brother. Welcome. Well, just in time, we're about to get started talking about this fun stuff. So Beeves makes some great points here. Basically some tough love, but I need to find the original post because I also saw the original post. It was like this sort of passive-aggressive deal that, hey, some artists that have 20,000 followers will look you dead in the face and say followers don't matter whenever they're struggling to hit, 1,000. And that's true. That can be very discouraging. I say that, I'm at 752, which, I worked for every one of those 752, don't get me wrong, but that's not setting the world on fire. It's just not. Honestly, a lot of my favorite artists that have had immense impact. So let's actually do that real quick. If we open up, let's open up Google and put Todd Lockwood Twitter. Right at 4 a.m. Is that the right one? Todd Lockwood Art. Yes. Yeah. Todd Lockwood. All right. A bona fide Hall of Famer when it comes to the industry that we are interested in. Done D&D, where if you know the Legend of Drizzt from any D&D book, this dude did the art. So if you look at this, his is such an iconic, incredible, oh my God, just stunning. The dude is on the Mount Rushmore of fantasy artists. You know what I mean? I can never get enough of his paintings. I love it. He has such a good understanding. Some of these are digital. A lot of these are traditional. He's just on a level of his own. And he always has been, right? 1,650 followers. So that right there should tell you what is important to him. And for him, it's the work. It's for the work. It's not necessarily for internet clout. To be totally fair, he got really famous as a painter and illustrator even before the internet existed. He was doing book covers like this at a top level in the early 80s, maybe even the late 70s. He comes from a very specific cloth that was pre-internet. But still, do you think Todd is hurting? Not only in his fan base, but his impact, the true, just, it's hard to not discuss how important he is for the industry that we're all interested in. It wouldn't be where it is without this guy. 1,650. But do you see him on here worrying about follower counts? He's too busy working, man. He's too busy making that money. So another good person that, if you follow me, hopefully you also follow Trent Kanuga on YouTube. He has a great, and I mean great, video that came out 4 days ago. Does your art stand out? The struggle of the invisible artist. So this is one right here. Very, very cool. I'm not going to play a lot of it, but he goes at length about why. Hey, yeah, I'm talking to my art friends. So what Trent does is, in this video, it's a 10-minute watch, super worth it. What he talks about is, why should people care about your art? And I actually took that to heart quite a bit, because I'm honored to be part of Imagine FX. I've gotten big clients like Adidas. That stuff will be coming out in August, I think. But it's stuff I'm very happy and excited and proud about. But why should people care? I'm proud of it, but maybe that's all it needs to be. Why do you think I'm doing a Superman painting? Superman has built-in fans, a built-in fan base. The work of creating Superman has already been done for all of us. That's why whenever that DC Expo fan art thing came out, I was like, that would be cool. Because one, I don't do a lot of legitimate, here's fan art of a character exactly as we know the character. I never would do Superman. I did a study of The Crow, but that wasn't really for anything. That was just because I love The Crow. Yes, thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. For those who want to click on the link, it's a great video. But he talks about you have to be passionate about what you're doing, and I know we talk about that a lot. Like, oh, you gotta love the art, you gotta love the process, you have to love this, and then the followers will come. That's actually true, because I know some of the paintings I've done, there's a lot of paintings that some people love that I didn't like making all that much. I was like, well, it's not, yeah, I guess it's fine. But then someone really held on to it and they attached with it, and that's for them, you know? That painting's not necessarily for me. Where you find the perfect kind of middle ground is whenever you have the art that you love to do and can also speak to other people. And that's a limit, that's a balance that you have to find. And I'll spend my entire career finding that. You know, I love the artwork of John Park, but would I know about the artwork of John Park without Imagine FX magazine, or without, you know, his stuff on Star Wars? Or it's great to be able to see it, but you have to be an asset. You can't just make a thing and expect it to all kind of wash over you. You have to make stuff that people can either resonate with or connect with or do something for someone. Like, I can tell you, I do okay on my brush packs. My brush packs probably get me, and the full transparency, on an average month, about $40 a month. Not life-changing money, but hey, that's a video game if I want one. You know what I mean? that can pay part of the water bill. You know, so it's real money. On busier months, that can go up to $200 to $300. Some of my Gumroad tutorials have probably made $700 to $800 over the course of a year, which once again, you know, that's more than rent, or that's rent costs more than that a month. So, but over the grand scheme of things, I've made a few $1,000s with art over the past year. I'm hoping to get to that level every month. I don't want to be the world famous, you know, world touring, world traveling person. That'd be cool if it happened. But my deal is I want to make enough to be able to pay for the mortgage, to be able to be content, to not worry so much about money, to not have that, you know, do we need to eat ramen for a week? You know, I did that in college, and now my big ass wouldn't be able to do that in my mid-30s, you know? So, but you have a different mindset. It's more of, can you help people at the same time while you're making your own thing, while you're working with clients, so it's this juggling act. And then part of the skill set, I think, is social media. So I'm not great at Twitter. Not very good at it. I don't like jumping in on hashtags a lot. I don't like, I love to retweet people, because whenever I see cool stuff, I want people that like my stuff to see other cool stuff. So I'm like a retweet machine, man. I'm like, oh, look at this. Isn't that awesome? But it very rarely, you know, focuses on me, because I feel uncomfortable doing that. Being like, look at me, look at what I'm doing. On the big accomplishments like the Imagine FX, whenever that Adidas commercial hits, you better believe I'm going to be retweeting it. But, because I'm proud of it. It's like, oh man, look at this cool thing. Isn't this awesome? Not because of look how great I am, but like, I finally did it. Can you see? I did it. Like, oh man, it's possible. I didn't think it was possible, but it is. Look, it's more of that sort of, I like to share it with other people. Because, and this is where it's going to get a little clippy on the highlights if you want this, but you get to where you have a certain amount of success, and for some people that goes to their head, and that starts going, and you start running into the stuff like the Noah Bradleys and the, you know, whenever the clout chasing starts being more important than the actual, like, do you love the work or not? It's a bad recipe. That I'm not a big fan of that. I want a way more simple, mundane. You know, I just want to make cool stuff and share in the love of it. Like, that's a genuine emotion of mine. Like, I want to make stuff that people go like, what in the world? And they look at it and they're like, oh my gosh, how'd you do it? And then I tell people how I did it. Right? Like that's the fun for me. It's like learning a magic trick and then being able to do it, impress people, and then the people that really want to know are going to go and they're going to study and they're going to learn that magic trick. And it's not that the magic's gone anymore, but now you appreciate it even more. So that's why I'm stoked with the Discord community I have right now, like that we all share, is you guys have your heads on straight. Everybody in those chat rooms, everybody chatting understands it. And I'm very happy to say that I'm helping nurture that sort of environment to where we're going to look at things realistically. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard, but we're supportive of each other, which is the most critical, because we're in this together. I don't see anyone as competition. I see everybody as an ally. I'm like, how can we help? Because here's the thing. If Mo is here, or Milo or Chris, or any of the other artists, Persephone, some people that I follow on Twitter a lot, if Paul Canavan joins us, I don't want to like take jobs away from people. I want to be able to boost out people. And like, I want to be the proud parent in the back, like, oh, they grow up so fast. Like that sort of, I get more enjoyment out of that because all of us succeed. Whenever that happens, just know that in your interviews, when you say, oh, how'd you get to be so good and famous? Talk about, well, there's this cool Discord channel, because that helps everybody. It really does. And you pay it forward, and there's a lot to it. And I can see where artists can get upset that they're not getting attention, and they're working so hard, and they are, and their art's good, man. Their art's good. They're on the right track. It's just patience. You have to give it time. And this isn't one of those, hell, I am a millennial, so I don't think it's instant gratification. I don't think it's necessarily that. I think that we're just seeing the successes and not the work when it comes to social media. So we're going to see everybody looking fabulous on Instagram. Ain't nobody putting bullshit pictures up there. You know what I mean? We're only seeing the best of the best. When you go and you watch Star Wars, when you go and you watch Lord of the Rings, you watch anime, you watch whatever you're watching, you are seeing the end result that has had thousands of man hours, woman hours, worker hours put into it. And you don't see the rough days. You don't see the days they didn't want to get out of bed. You don't see that. It's a job. It really is. And I think it's critical to keep that in mind, that you're seeing the finished product. Even on sketches right here, like I'm showing my Superman stuff right here. This is pretty close to done. It's not my favorite thing I've ever made, but I think I learned what I needed to from this. I'm going to polish it up a little bit, pop some of the saturations, blend some of these edges, call it. Just be done. Move on to the next one. We'll learn. We'll keep going. It's my goal to grind out over 1,000 pieces of art in 1 year. I mean, genuinely, and I think we're on track for it right now. I think this will be like, I know it's past the 500 mark. I haven't published all of them, but I've worked on them. Just grind. You gotta grind. You have to. Like, if you're not grinding it out, like, what are you doing? If you really want to take it serious. Now, if you want to be a weekend warrior, there is nothing wrong with that. Do it because you love it. Hell, Bob Ross made a career out of teaching people how to be weekend warriors. And there's no problems with that, man. Like, if it's bringing you joy, if you don't want it for the internet clout, if you don't want that stuff, you don't need it. Todd Lockwood doesn't need it. He just got good enough that he was so high in demand that his art is synonymous with D&D, with Forgotten Realms, with Dritz, with, like, he's the man. He's just painting. That's, he just paints. Yeah, you read some of his interviews, and he's one of the most humble guys in the world, man. He's like, I don't know. I don't even know why I'm sitting in this chair talking to you, because all I do is paint pretty pictures. The thing I've been doing since second grade, But he's still master. You look at his stuff, and it's just mind-blowing. And I think that's the healthy way to go about it, is you're not going to change the world. You're not the next Picasso. You don't need to be. We already had a Picasso. You have to be you. You and my friend Marco, he's on here as Nerd in the Bay a lot. Me and him did a podcast called Brothering Around that I'm very proud of. I've done podcasts for over a decade. But and what we would always talk about is we would always get viewer mail and questions like, how do you get started making a podcast? How do you get started, making a YouTube channel or Twitch or whatever? Because I used to be full-time on Twitch, 2014, 2015, 40 hours a week. This was my gig. And then I burnt myself out. because I was in that toxic mindset of, why isn't I'm putting in the work? Why isn't it happening to me? And it ended up being more bad than it was good. But we talked about the best thing that you have going for you is you. You're the only person that, you know, where did you eat dinner on your 4th birthday? Did they take you to Chuck E. Cheese? Like, where did you go? What story is that? Now, how does that relate to art? It affects your outlook of life. Like, you have memories to draw from that nobody else has. That is your crystal. That's your diamond in the rough. You keep that, you nourish it. Like what I'm going to start doing, I will probably start doing more like Western paintings. Why? I'm a Midwest boy, man. I was born in Oklahoma, like not far away from where freaking Tiger King had their shit going on. And like, I'm in Texas now, and like, I can speak Southern slang. So maybe if I write a short story, one of my characters needs to be an actual cowboy, because I know what that's like. You know what I mean? And like, there's an audience. There's an audience to where my gig right now, if I were to elevator pitch what my style is going on right now, and what I'm trying to learn, is bringing the beauty and the essence of old Impressionism painting, such as the Degas and John Singer Sargent and whatever, to stuff that I love, which is comic books, video games, card art, fantasy illustration. So yeah, my stuff doesn't look like some of the other stuff. It doesn't look like Todd Lockwood's art. I don't think it ever will. I not to say I couldn't get to a level to be, similar, but he just has a different outlook on life that I do. But what I can try to do is be the best version of me. How can I improve my Impressionism? How can I improve the look of Superman? Like the lighting in this. Like if I were to look at this, I think overall this is okay, but the lighting really needs a pop, and I'm still struggling with how to make that happen. Should it be really poppy? Should it be more subdued? Should it be more foggy? Like what should this be? And that's what you should fight with. You shouldn't fight with other artists on Twitter saying you don't get enough coverage. You shouldn't fight with, it's your battle. You gotta fight it. And if you're doing something you're passionate about, people will see that passion. So both places are right. About this, and art is a full-time job. Yes, social media is a completely different, but also full-time. That's a great point. The techniques of getting good at social media are completely different than the techniques of getting good with art. In fact, I would argue they're the opposite. With art, how patient are you to hunker down and sit in a chair in the dark, like putting shading on a cube? Like how willing mentally are you for that? Are you willing to put in the months and the days and the hours and the weeks and the years to hone the craft? Then are you brave enough to go on social media and be like, hey man, bam, let me show you what I got. I'm putting my name in the hat. Let's go. And being confident about it. Like, it's good to know that you're good. That's okay. It's okay to know that you're good or getting better or still learning or where you're at. Just be realistic about it. Don't poo-poo the advice that maybe other artists are given. Just take it. You don't need to follow it. If it genuinely doesn't gel with what your outlook is, just take it. Say thank you, like that sort of thing. Say, hey, thanks. But what gets me, and what I've seen a trend of, is people that will go specifically to a certain artist. Now, thankfully, I haven't had this happen with me. Everyone I've talked to has been pretty chill. But certain artists, and then whenever that artist doesn't like immediately give them a job, or like, oh, yours was the best I've ever seen, and now let me retire so you can take my job. That doesn't happen. Like then the person that was looking for the critique gets upset. Well, how are you so successful and I'm not? And then they get this weird jaded thing like, oh, we're doing the same thing. We're painting. I don't get it. Well, what's the difference? There's a big difference. And number one being, you got to not look at yourself like a student. I mean, in regards of, you should always be a student, but don't think that, wow, one day I'll be able to make art. One day I'll be able to paint. I'll be an artist one day. Everybody watching this right now, if you're in my Discord, if you're on Twitter, posting up, I don't care if it's stick figures, man, you're an artist. You're learning the craft, you're learning the trade. Welcome to the family. You're doing the same thing that Da Vinci and Degas and Zorn and Picasso, Monet, any of these people that have ever observed the world and tried to translate that down into 2 dimensions. You are now part of the lexicon. You're part of the family. Your life is now can be imprinted on your tombstone. Artist. Done. So that part's out of the way. Now what? You're an artist. What do you do? Once you start thinking that way, like one day I'll be an artist, get that crap out of your head. Once you actually know you're an artist, and then what do you stand for? What are you passionate about? What things do you love? Is there a type of thing that if you walk past it on the street, like a poster, a movie poster, whatever, that makes you double take and you're like, oh my God, like how did they do that? Try it. Try to do that. Because if you try it and you start getting it, that passion that you had the first time you saw it is going to translate. Like I said, the biggest honor about the Imagine FX feature, I mean, my idols, my art gods have been in that, like Frank Frazetta, Boris Vallejo, I mean, Sparth, Feng Zhu, Raphael Lacoste, Dong Lu Yu. I can go on for hours and name these people. But and like now I'm part of that family and I'm like, oh my God. But now what do I do? What do I do not only to capitalize on that and maybe make a better career, maybe monetarily do a little better for myself, but what can I do to give back? Like, in a lot of people's minds, Imagine FX, and in my mind, Imagine FX is the top of the mountain. So what's next? And literally, I saw, and I can't wait to see it in print. When I see it in print, I'm probably going to cry. I'm not even exaggerating. But then, the next thing I'm going to do? The next Imagine FX goal is to get a featured tutorial. I want to get in there again. Twice to make it true. 2 to make it true. It's Imagine FX, dream come true. Now let me be an asset in the way that my heroes were. In giving an interview, doing a tutorial. You know what I mean? Like, then after that, the next goal for Imagine FX is the cover. I want to be the cover art on that magazine. I want to be the reason why people pick that magazine up in the first place. So you're always pushing. You can't settle. If you're settling, you're comfortable, and if you're comfortable, you're not growing. You need to take all of this and you're going to take all of this and you're going to push and just push and keep going. And before you know it, time flies, man. Time flies. Before you know it, stuff's going to start happening. I put the quote on Twitter that, Walter Payton said, if you're good at something, you're going to tell everybody. But if you're great at something, they're going to tell you. The big 3 contracts that I've gotten so far, they approached me. I didn't email out to them. I didn't know Adidas was looking for somebody. They were, and they saw it. And I'm no guru at social media. I'm no guru at... But I wonder if they saw something that they liked enough that they were like, we want that type of voice to help this project. And I was like, you better believe it, man. Like, tell me when and where and how and what can I do for you? And I pushed way outside of my comfort zone. The material was very much in my wheelhouse, which is why they came to me. But the method, I had never done it like that before. I can't wait to... I'm going to do a whole stream dedicated to it, but I can't wait till it airs. It is for commercial, I can say that much. But I've never done that workflow. And at first, and I'll be totally upfront, at first when I turned in the first draft, they almost backed out because they could tell I was nervous. They were like, well, we'll pay you for your time, but this may not be a great fit and stuff. And I was crushed until I was like, okay, let me do this one thing. Sorry, I wasn't exactly what you were looking for, but thank you so much for thinking of me. Kind of the general generosity, the thanks part. I was like, as part of this, let me just do this one thing for you. You guys feel free to use it. Feel free to not. You guys own it, whatever. And then I did concept art. And I sent it the next day. I worked my butt off, sent it in the next day. They emailed me back almost immediately. And were like, do you have more of these? Yeah, I can do another one of these. Can you do these 2 things for us? Yeah, we'll pay you for it. I was back on the same project they almost took me off of. Because I was like, because they pushed me so far out of my comfort zone, but I tried it. I was like, hey guys, I'm not used to this, but let's go. And I think they saw that. I think they saw that I really wanted to be part of the project, that I wanted to do that. I did it. I actually failed. And then I went and was like, okay, as a consolation, let me at least give you something worth your time. Let me do a thing. Sent it off. They loved it. That's what they pivoted some stuff around it. Like, I'm excited to see the final product because I'm curious as to what they used. But yeah, we'll look at that whenever it happens. But just know, you can even flub up on a job in the same job and still be okay. It's fine. Just go and learn and make ugly, bad art and make beautiful art. Make all of it. Go through it. If I had hair, I'd pull my hair out. You know, that type. Like, you got to do it. You got to grind, man. And it's not going to get given to you. You got to earn it. But being part of big communities like this and people that are like-minded and, you know, willing to work, sky's the limit. I mean, I was super lucky that the Imagine FX thing hit the very month I went freelance. The very month. Now, totally upfront, have I gotten a lot of job whatever from it? Not yet. But it's not physically in people's hands yet. So what my job is to get better, keep doing this fan art stuff, get into fighting shape, like I'm a prize fighter. That way, if the phone does ring, if I do get that email, if I do hear back from Wizards or, you know, Cubicle 7 or these other hundreds of places I've applied to, I'll be ready and I can say yes right then and get to work. It's all about the job. You know, it's not necessarily about the money, but it's about the job. It's about, can I be an asset to this team? And if so, if it's a good enough experience, they will ask me back. And I think that's important to know, is everyone has this kind of sense that every art piece has to be your best because, like, it's your last art piece. Like, I don't know why. I used to feel that way too. Like, oh man, I did this and I don't know if I can top it. Oh man, that's not true. Just learn. Just keep learning and you're going to fill in the gaps. Yeah, I mean, so that's kind of my tangent about all that. But just know I agree with both. Social media is important, but it is a much different skill set than getting better at art. And I would argue getting better at art will get you further and you will be happier in the long run. Because here's the deal. What if you get a huge social media following and then your art's not up to snuff? Uh-oh. Like, now you got a bunch of people like pounding on the door wanting something from you and then you can't deliver. And then what happens is you can't deliver, your skills aren't up to where they probably need to be to do the type of work you're wanting. Then that word of mouth goes across like wildfire. Like, oh, I thought this person was a pro. They have 20,000 followers. My 3-year-old niece can do better than this. You know, you start getting that, which isn't the end of the world. But think of it the other way. What if you're an absolute master of your craft? And then one of your pieces makes it big. And then your next piece is another banger. Just an absolute, you knock it out of the park. People are like, holy shit, we've been sleeping on this person. What is happening? Like, that's the goal, is you want to under-promise and over-deliver. So if you're just, oh yeah, no, I'm kind of on social media sometimes, guys. I'm just here kind of working. And then they look at your art and their jaw drops. You made it. You are money. Because people are going to look at it. Art directors are going to look at it and be like, holy crap, here's a person that we can get maybe for a little cheaper just because they don't have this big ego of social media clout, but we need them on our thing right now. And then what do you know? You have 2 or 3 big name clients. Then those start getting shared on social media. Then that art starts getting stolen on Instagram, whatever. And then people, well, who is this artist? Who is this? Oh, that's that person? Oh man, I gotta follow them. They will come to you. People will tell you when you become great. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it all comes from. And So I say art first, social media second. Hell, art first, good food second, social media third. Like I will put social media where it belongs, which is something that's great as a resource. I don't see myself wanting to maintain a big presence online. That's not important to me. I just want to make cool stuff, and if it's stuff that impact people and they get to learn something from some of my Gumroad or whatever, great. But do I think that the way to go is to talk smack on artists? And here's the deal. People, and this drives me, and this is the last one before I start painting. I promise I'll shut up about it. But the people, the younger artists are like bad-mouthing as elitists are art directors. Those are the people that are going to get you your job. What are you doing? Like, you just post good art and now you're bad-mouthing the company. Now you're bad-mouthing the work ethic it took these people to get in a position of being able to hire other artists. And you're going to talk smack on them. And then you're going to navel gaze while you can't get work. Bro, you just burned your bridge while you were still standing on it. Like, what? You gotta be thoughtful. You have to be empathetic. You have to. It blows me away. Like, oh, all these art elitists. Oh, you mean the people with jobs that have hiring power? Yeah. They're busy. Like, they got a job to do, man. They don't got time for the social media drama. Like, that's the part that whenever I think about it like that, I'm like, oh yeah, no, just work. Just keep working. People will find you. Just keep working. Keep grinding it out, man. I'm not seeing a single working artist. Yeah, and that's a huge deal. Trey Dog, what's up, my friend? So that's a huge deal, Chris. The working artists, the people that are getting work, completely agree with what Alexandria is saying. And then the people that somehow, oh, why can't I get more of a following? Oh, why can't, well, my Twitter is not, well, everyone else is popular, I'm not popular. Maybe because instead of spending time and drawing boxes in perspective, you're bitching on Twitter. Real talk. I mean, come on now. Like, there's all kind of, like, perfect example. You gotta always be learning. As I look at this Superman, this anatomy is jank. I'm gonna look at this in a year and like vomit into this cup. You know what I mean? Like, this is one of those things that I'm gonna look at and be like, no, this ain't it. Like, if I were to try to draw a skeleton, like, his hips need to be wider because there ain't no way his tiny little baby hips are gonna support this jacked upper body. It's just not gonna work. I'll fix some of it now, but at this point, I kind of learned what I needed to from the Superman one. I'm gonna polish it. I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna pop it off. And then we're going to get started on probably a flat trap study. I'm a big fan of Richard Anderson. He's done art for Guild Wars and stuff. I want to see how he works. So we're going to look at a piece and try to mimic it. Not recreate it, because I want to kind of put my own spin on it. But to see what decisions he was making and stuff like that. So it's going to be kind of an online master study that we're going to do. But yeah, I think it's really bizarre that, I don't know, there's so much heat between the young artists or the artists on the come up and the experienced guys. And it's like, listen to the experienced guys. They may not be correct for your situation. It may not be true, but listen to it. Listen. And listen doesn't mean agree with. Listen means take the information, find what you need, because there is nuggets of wisdom in there. I guarantee it. I've had not harsh stuff, but like very direct critique from people I respect a great deal on Twitter. And they told me stuff to work on. I've worked on it, and I got an Imagine FX magazine. I don't think those things are separate. I'm dead serious. I think there's a relationship there. I think listening and being humble enough and low ego and we don't have all the answers. Like, we just don't. So absorb what you can from who you admire and who you trust, and a source that is going to tell you the reality of it, but not in a way that's going to be demeaning. Because, like, I don't see other artists as competition. Shit, I'm never going to be as good as Craig Mullins. I'm nowhere near his level, so there's no way he's my competition. There's no way. I'm not even a period in the sentence of his book. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even... But a lot of people will think, well, if Craig Mullins, man, if it wasn't for him, I'd get all these... Who are you kidding? Like, come on now. Yeah. That's a great point, Mo. How many artists do we see or not see? Yeah. Go watch the credits for any recent Star Wars movie. Start them right now and then come back to me in an hour and 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? How many of those people aren't even on social media? You know? Once they get big, yeah, they won't have any troubles. And that's totally true. People are like, oh, well, I'll have to... You know what you'll really get? And this is just I'm not popular on social media by any means. But you know what I think you'll get once you get to a certain level? Constant DMs from other people asking for advice. That's what I think being social media famous is going to get you, is a lot of DMs, not even necessarily job opportunities, but DMs from other people asking, how'd you get so many followers? How's your Instagram so big? Thank you, Chris. Yeah, we're hanging out, brother. So no problem lurking. I love the lurkers. Love it. But Mo, that's a wonderful point. It's like, how many unsung heroes are there? I would rather be the workhorse that has my name in the credits, and then I have a few stories to tell, rather than the rock star with a private jet that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's just the Irish in me or whatever, but I'm very... No, it's about the work for me. It's about the method. I love the process too much. Now, would I love to go give, classes or interviews or whatever? Yeah, that'd be great. If I could help people, that'd be awesome. But it's about the work. I want to get better. I want to make cool stuff and be like, look what I made. Isn't that neat? And then see other stuff that people made and be like, God, I'm never going to be that good. Because that's the fun of it, So let me come on in here. Let me layer 0. So, okay. So we're here.